Hello, you. It's me. And I just got a big fright. And it makes me worry for Aurora even more, the baby. Um, I was thinking back to Gypsy and some things that I think have been confirmed seems to have been confirmed. So I'm just going to say, as far as I am aware, are confirmed. We know that Gypsy was sick when she was young. We know that her mother quit her job as a nurse in order to take care of Gypsy full time. Okay. And we know that when Gypsy and Dede moved to Missouri, they saw a lot less, very little to none of Rod or Christy. They talked on the phone, but that was about it. And what I believe is understood is that Rod and Christy were told or were thought to have somewhere had learned, maybe by Dede, I don't know. I can't say for sure. But there is a thing going around that they didn't think Gypsy would live beyond the age of 18 or somewhere around that. And Rod had, like I said, very little to no communication once they went to Missouri. And in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, not facts, but my opinion is that Rod and Christy kind of wrote Gypsy off. And I've always thought that seemed like a very cruel thing to do, especially with somebody who is ill or special needs. They need even more attention. Well, that's not true. Every child needs a lot of attention. And I think Gypsy lost out on that with Rod, at least at the point that they moved. But Gypsy still had her mother, who loved and adored her and devoted her life to taking care of Gypsy. Okay, we know that. But if Aurora the baby is sick and there's no proof or evidence except for what we've heard of that poor little baby crying, that just doesn't sound right. Her growing doesn't seem right. She doesn't seem to move around like a baby at 7 months old does, etc., etc. So my fear is that she may have a microdeletion or some other issue. I mean, it is a 50% chance she does or she doesn't because of Gypsy having it. But my concern is that Gypsy is not going to completely devote her whole life, body and soul, into Aurora the baby. We've already seen that she hasn't done that. She's constantly taking trips. Blah. I'm so upset right now. I'm so sorry. She's constantly taking trips, getting drunk, doing stuff without the baby, handing the baby over to whoever will take the baby to go do her own thing. And because of specifically her father's treatment of Gypsy, just kind of ignoring her, thinking, oh, well, she'll be going away eventually, so it won't matter. Do you think that Gypsy has this kind of attitude toward Aurora the baby? It's very disturbing to think about, and I hate thinking about it. But we're talking about Gypsy. Rod seems to be a little more connected, or not Rod, I'm sorry. Kian, he seems to be a little bit more connected, but not really, especially if he's doing substances he's not supposed to do. That's alarming. I mean, really alarming. Because if Aurora the baby really needs some specialized attention, where is she going to get it from? I know that Kian's mother, Raina, she lives in Texas. I mean, I guess they could drop the baby off. I don't know. I don't know if Christy and Rod, who didn't seem to be really thrilled about the idea, but they do love their grandbaby. I don't think that they don't. But are they willing to devote that much time and energy to a baby that might need it? Who's going to do it? Because I don't think Gypsy's going to do it. Is she going to hire somebody? I mean, at this point, she's, screaming broke. So she may not be able to afford to hire somebody to help her, a nurse or something to assist. Maybe she'll have to get on some kind of government assistance. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But it really scares me to think about. I'm looking forward to Case's video tomorrow. Please, Case, tell us what you think about Aurora the baby. Do you think she might have a microdeletion thing? Do you think she might be sick? Because she doesn't sound, from any noises we've heard, like the normal average baby. And I'm not saying that to be mean to the baby, because Aurora is a sweet, innocent little child. And there's nothing wrong with a sweet, innocent little child who has extra needs. But is she going to get them? It's really scary. It's really scary. And what triggered this fear was a couple of people, actually, a couple comments were made about reactive attachment disorder. And this is rare, thank God, but it does occur in babies who have not bonded properly with their caregiver, and they don't like touch. They don't like being held, and they really keep themselves away from people. Essentially, I mean, you can read this here. I'd like to read it for you. I will try. My glasses are kind of broken, so I apologize. But they show significant difficulty in social and emotional functioning. They often appear withdrawn and emotionally detached, failing to seek comfort when distressed or respond to caregivers' efforts to soothe them. So they just kind of don't move. And as we've seen with baby Aurora, although we haven't seen her much, to be fair, but what we have seen of her, she doesn't really move a lot. We've heard her cry. It doesn't sound like a normal cry. We don't hear the babbling. And look, I'm not going to point fingers and say, oh, she has this for sure, definitely. We don't know. We don't see a lot of Aurora the baby. We don't hear a lot about Aurora the baby either, which is also concerning. But it can really affect them. I looked up to see if there's a cure for, it's called RAD, reactive attachment disorder. And there's no cure per se, although there are some therapies that help a lot. And for adults, there are some medications that also help with the secondary issues of depression and anxiety, which, that's good. So there are some therapies that can help to benefit anybody who has RAD. And that's rad. That's good. And again, I am not saying that this is definitely a thing. I'm just throwing out possibilities, concerns, because I really do think a lot about Aurora the baby. I really do. It's very stressful, I think, for any parent, or even for people who aren't parents. You know, they feel things too, and they feel things deeply. And of course, it affects any normal person when they see where there is a possibility of a child under duress. It's very scary. It's very scary. And I think those of you, there's a couple of you that pointed out RAD in my comments, and I thank you for that, because it's definitely something to look at. But it definitely just makes everything more concerning. You know, what is Gypsy doing? Because I can't say for sure, I don't know. But the baby does indeed sound like they have some kind of disorder. We want to automatically point to microdeletion because this is Gypsy's baby, and they have a 50% chance of inheriting said disorder. So, but yeah, I just really worry for Aurora even more, because if the baby is sick, who's going to take care of the baby? You know, I can hope to God Gypsy will try, if for no other reason, because it looks good. And Ken, who's to know if he's doing stuff that he's not supposed to, that can alter his mind, his perception of things, and he may not even think to do that. That's why this is so concerning. I had to get on and say something about this, because it just, with Gypsy's history and now with her baby, who's going to devote their time and energy to Aurora? Because Dede isn't here anymore. Dede already did that with Gypsy. And although Gypsy is a horrendous human being, she's fairly healthy. I mean, Dede did her job in keeping her alive and healthy. Yeah, what's going to happen with Aurora? I just feel so much for that poor little baby. And if you guys have any thoughts, or if you just want to call CPS, I don't know. I always kind of draw a line with these things, like, how involved am I going to get here? And I'm just kind of talking about stuff I've seen, and talk about things that we've learned, through the FOIAs and through things that Gypsy has said and all her contradictions. I always wonder, like, what is the line that we cross? But if that baby got hurt, I would be devastated. I really would, because we right now have the possibility of helping her. I just don't know what is the best way to help her. I just hope CPS is on their asses. I really do. Being offline isn't going to keep CPS from getting on their asses. It just won't be as obvious, the mistakes that they're making. But, geez, I don't know, you guys. That poor baby. I don't even know what to say about it. It's such a concern. Who's going to take care of Aurora? If she is possibly a child who has the microdeletion, she's going to probably need some specialized care. Is Gypsy going to do that? I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I just hope Aurora, the baby, doesn't get harmed in the process. Anyway, this video sucks. I am so upset. It's so distressing, and I don't really know what to do except just express why I'm distressed. And maybe you guys have some good ideas or some hopeful suggestions. I don't know. But goodness, what a mess. Anyway, thank you for listening. And that's all I got to say.